Hey guys, Jennuine Love checking in. Wanted to do an inspired video. I didn't announce it, so I know that you guys are just going to pop on whenever you can. Say hi when you join live, and say hi when you're on the replay. I'm out in nature, so you know, the water, I don't know if you can see it, I don't think you can see it, but you can definitely hear it. I'm at one of my little secret hiding spots that I like to come to and just relax and meditate, write, and today, record. So, in this video, I just wanted to talk about different, as it relates to relationships, whether we're talking about, you know, divine masculine, divine feminine, whether it's, you know, whatever kind of dynamic that is for you in your relationship. A lot of people are coming together with whatever you want to call twin flame or soulmate, karmic part, like whatever we want to title it. There's a lot of connections happening, and also simultaneously there are connections that, you know, are transforming and maybe transitioning into something else, or just kind of leaving our life altogether. And it's really important in the self-growth journey to honor and acknowledge people that come in and people that go, in a way that's not only loving and honoring to us, but also to other people, because it's easy to get caught in a trap of, you know, like, you know, and you're this and you're that and all of these different things. And it's really not helpful. It's not beneficial, and it's not productive. And so a few of the things that I wrote down that I wanted to just share is that even in relationships and connections where you know beyond a shadow of a doubt that you're connected to this person, and you believe, you know, like spiritual influences have connected you to this person, that doesn't mean it's always going to be a walk in the fucking park and daisies in the fields and the birds chirping, because everything about being a human is messy, period. So it doesn't matter how enlightened you are or how spiritual you are, stuff is bound to come up, period, for you and for your partner. And so we have to extend the same graces and compassion and mercy and love and understanding to others that we would want them to have for ourselves. But here's the kicker. A lot of times we're expecting people to have all of this compassion and love and forgiveness toward us, but we don't even have it toward ourselves. We don't know how to forgive ourselves. We don't know how to have compassion for where we are in our particular stage of life. We don't know how to talk to ourselves with loving kindness, but our partner damn sure better. And you see how off that is. It's just off. That energy, it can't go together. Like, you have to get your self-love. Again, that's why I will preach this from the mountaintops for the rest of my life, is self-love. Because unless and until you have that for yourself, you don't know how to hold space and be love for other people. You flip out when you see their shadow sides come out, because you've never given yourself permission to sit with your own. You know, so didn't mean to go there, but I wanted to just kind of go through like kind of 5 bullet points that I feel like have been patterns that I've seen come up in my connections, that I've engaged in certain periods of my life. And there's a disempowering way to connect with others, and then there's an empowering way to connect with others. And it's not just about them, it's also about you. It's always first about you. It's empowering for you in your body, how your body's going to feel when you respond differently, how your spirit's going to feel when you respond differently, how the people that you're interacting with are going to respond differently. So the first thing is like this happens in whether you're breaking up or not, but you know, a lot of times people break up and they just, you know, do this, but inside of the connection, when you're still partnered up, this happens too. So it's kind of universal, and that is blaming the other person, blaming them, you know, for whatever we're feeling, for the, you know, for the discomfort or the anger or the, you know, you did this, so and if you wouldn't do this, then like, we're blaming them for how we feel, how we've responded, you know, whatever that looks like, we're blaming them. This is disempowering. It's like injecting poison into the relationship, and it's never a good thing to blame the other person. Yes, you can acknowledge that there are things coming up in the other person that you don't like, that don't feel good. Yes, acknowledge that. However, when you blame the person for how you're feeling, when you blame the person, and I hear you saying, well, Jen, if they just wouldn't do that, then I wouldn't feel this way. Yes, you would. Yes, you would, because you have a button. You know what I mean? So if it doesn't come out in that moment, in that way, it's going to get hit another way, period, you know, because the button can be activated. And if the button can be activated, it will be activated, period. So it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. Knowing how to sit with, okay, so that's disempowering, to blame the other person. What is empowering is accepting others, and accepting that. And if you have never read the 4 Agreements, highly recommend that book. And one of the 4 agreements is nothing that other people do. Like, don't take anything personally, because nothing that other people do is about you. It's always a reflection of where they're at emotionally, spiritually, mentally, you know, in that moment. Not the whole totality of their life. They might just be having a damn off day. You know what I mean? They might be out of character for some other reason. It's not an indictment against them. It's just in this moment, this is what's happening right now, and this is what's coming up for them. And I can honor where they're at without accepting responsibility for it. And that's huge. If you get that, take that and run with it, it will change all of your connections. If you can honor where they're at without accepting responsibility for it. Even if they said, if you did this, you know, if you wouldn't have done this, it's the blame game is never, ever, ever the right way to go. And accepting that other people, including yourself, we're all where we're at on our own particular stage of the journey. So disempowering in your connection is blaming them. Empowering in your connection is accepting them where they are, how they are. Okay, so another disempowering way that we show up in connections is we wait for others to change, make a different move, do something differently. And the longer we wait, the more pissed we get. And rightfully so, because we're out of alignment, we're out of balance in that expectation that I need you to change so that I can feel better. And honey, let me tell you right now, that is a recipe for not fun, the opposite of fun, misery, you know, because if you sit around and give if you only give yourself permission to, not sure why all the cars are going by, got really loud all of a sudden, I hope you can hear me, but if you only give yourself permission to feel good or feel happy and accepted when other people are behaving a certain way. That is so disempowering, because people are where they are, and you're not going to get to anything that you want by feeling bad and sitting around and expecting, okay, you need to change this so that I can feel better. You have to find a way to, feel good now. But it's disempowering to expect people to change and show up differently. Accept them as they are. There's a dragonfly just landed on my paper. Can y'all see it? Oh, here it went. So the empowering way to show up in our connections is by setting boundaries. So whereas I'm not going to sit and wait on you to change, I'm not going to just sit and wait on something to be different with you. I'm going to love myself and honor myself and our connection by setting a boundary and just saying, like, this is where I am right here. This is, I'm not going to be okay with that. Or, like whatever the boundary looks like this topic is off limits now, or like whatever, your particular thing that you need to set is. And now you're empowering the connection, because instead of silently, or even maybe you're verbalizing, you need to do this to be different so that I can feel better, it never works. So you've disempowered the connection by doing that. But if you're in a place where you're like, hey, this is what I expect, this is what I bring, and this is what I feel comfortable with, and this is my, expectation in this situation. These are my boundaries right here. And now you're empowering yourself, you're empowering the connection, because it's clear. It's not a silent, like an expectation that they have to do something different. It's just saying, like, this is me. This is what's going to be okay for me. And I appreciate that maybe you're not there, but this is what is going to happen for me in my world, Another thing that we do that is disempowering is withholding love. If you do what I want you to do, and if you behave the way that I want you to behave, then I will shower you with my love and affection and whatever. But if you do not show up the way that I want you to, now I'm going to treat you differently. Now I'm going to withhold my love. I'm not going to show you affection. I'm not going to talk to you. I'm not going to say nice things if I do talk to you. Like, we're in a place of disempowering, because anytime you withhold love, it's not good. But to empower in that situation, it's sharing love unconditionally. And sometimes that does look like giving people space to process however they need to. Sometimes people process better in silence and not talking, and that has to be okay with you if that's their genuine way to work through things, but you're responsible for what you're doing. You're responsible for how you're showing up. So allowing yourself to share love no matter what the other person is doing. And I am not saying that this is the easiest thing, because sometimes I'm like, yo, I'm a mirror. You treat me like shit, I'll treat you like shit back. I'm going to show you a mirror. And I felt justified in that. And I felt, like, oh, well, if it's good for you to do, it's good for me to do. But when I really sit with it, that doesn't feel authentic to me. Like, because I care about people. I care about, especially, if I've been in a relationship with you, obviously I care about you, So the the meeting people where they are, the mirroring doesn't necessarily feel authentic to me. What feels more authentic and empowering is sharing that love unconditionally, however that looks in that moment, however unconditional love would show up in that moment. That's what I want to do, you know. The other thing that shows up sometimes in connections that is extremely disempowering is character assassination, calling people out of their name, talking to other people, tearing your partner down, and just painting them in such a bad, negative light. So disempowering. And not only is it disempowering, it's very detrimental to the connection. There's really never any good that comes from that, ever. And so it's a disempowering thing. And it's more empowering to, you know, going back to accepting others, realizing people are where they are in their journey, and it takes more courage. Let me just tell you, you want to be like, oh, I'm big and bad. You're not big and bad if you're not picking love, period. Because it takes more courage to choose love than it does be like, you know what I'm saying, tit for tat, I'll meet you where you're at. Like, it takes more courage to love, period. Especially if you're feeling hurt, it takes more courage for you to love in that moment. But that's always going to be the empowering thing to do, not just for the connection, but for yourself. It's going to feel better in your body. It's going to feel better in what you're manifesting in your world. It's going to feel better because it's the most natural state that we are, is love, you know. Uplift others. Find ways, even when they're having moments, you know, even if you don't speak the word, you don't have to speak the word. Let me tell you, energy is powerful. Your thoughts are powerful. So you can literally just in your mind, in your heart, think positive thoughts toward that person and send, you know, energy that they'll move through whatever they need to move through. You're able to do that. You don't have to have their permission to do that, because you're not doing anything that's ill toward them. There's no malice. There's nothing, you know, wrong with doing that. The other thing that is disempowering is blaming yourself. A lot of times when, you know, troubles arise in connections, there's this tendency to blame myself. If I wouldn't have done this, or if I would have done this, or I should know better than this, like blaming yourself. I have been the queen of this, and I still fall into this trap, but it is a trap. It is a trap. So it's disempowering to blame yourself. It's not a good thing for you. It's not a good thing for the connection, because now you're bringing to the connection a disempowered version of yourself. So the empowering is just right the opposite. You have to learn to accept yourself where you are in this particular stage of your journey, like this particular chapter of your life story. You have to learn how to accept yourself there, page by page. And yes, there are times where we're going to look at ourselves and we're going to be like, damn, like I should really think about changing that, or maybe I could do this differently. And that's beautiful, and that's healthy, and that's a part of self-love and self-growth, is to do things differently, of course. But there's a difference between, you know, being excited and happy and loving yourself in the change and the growth process versus like beating up on yourself, blaming yourself, and trying to change from that energy, because it's just counterproductive and it's disempowering. So learning to accept yourself where you are right now. Be easy with yourself. You're learning, like you're unlearning stuff that you learned that didn't work, and you're learning new things that do work. And that takes time, it takes energy, it takes all of that. And it does, um, take something out of you physically, emotionally. So go easy on yourself, be easy on yourself, and accept that, as you know to do better, you're doing better, and there's no blame available. You're learning and expanding. We all are, right? So that is all I wanted to share. Thank you guys for joining in. I hope I have said something that is of value and that helps you on your journey in some way. Connections are important. Sometimes we just want to throw the whole thing away, and it's really not about throwing people away, so to speak, or just making connections bad or toxic. It's not always that. It's us learning how to engage with other people in our connections in ways that are more conscious, they're more loving, they're more healing in nature, because it is possible for us to get along. It is possible for us to heal. It is possible for us to be in connections that are harmonious and uplifting, that add value to our lives and those around us, right? All right, I'm signing off, guys. I love y'all so, so much. I will see y'all soon. Namaste.